Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dokken Music Podcast once again. We're today sitting in with me, the legendary Jeff Pilson. Jeff was an
Wow.
original member of Dokken, of course. He was also a member of Dio, and he is currently on the road with Foreigner, a band that he has been with for 20 years now. It's amazing. In more recent years, a member of Black Swan with Robin McAuley and Reb Beach, Revolution Saints with Joel Hoekstra and Deen Castronovo, of course. And of course, he has just released a new record with his band, The End Machine, back with George Lynch once again. The record is called The Quantum Phase. It is available on Frontiers Records. Jeff, it's always great to have you, man.
Well, great to be here. Thank you.
Man, so much on that resume. It's crazy. You've done so much in your career over the years. Uh, you ever see yourself winding down? I look at the Foreigner tour. This is a farewell tour. Is that it for Foreigner?
No, no. I mean, th what it is this is the last year of 9 months of the year we're on the road touring. It's the last one of those. So in that sense, I will be winding down. We will continue on. Foreigner's not going away, but it's going to be much fewer dates, more select dates. And so I see myself doing even more recording, which will be nice. But winding down the touring 9 months of the year, definitely that. And yeah, I mean, I think, like I say, I just plan on doing a lot more recording, and let's see where we go from there.
Yeah, cool. Now you're recording a bunch of stuff. Will you be recording any new material with Foreigner?
Well, we do have a couple songs that are floating around out there that have not been finished. So that's a goal. We'll see. I mean, if we can get that going, that would be great. Um, so yeah, there is some new material out there that we'd love to finish up and do something with.
Cool, cool. You got this new record, the Quantum Phase, the End Machine. You've got so much. I don't know how you keep track of everything. It's phenomenal. Um, but this record, really great record, new singer. You went from Robert Mason, who was phenomenal singer. I know Robert from the Cry of Love days, where I love that band. I love what he did and when he stepped in there. Uh,
Yeah.
Came to you guys, just a particular type of singer. That blues rock, Paul Rogers thing. He just kills. Uh, you turn you're turning the tables here a little bit with the End Machine. You get Girish Pradhan. Now, I talked to Girish when he had Girish in the Chronicles. Um, just a smart, sharp guy, a phenomenal singer, really strong, different type of singer. How has the process changed with the End Machine? Because they're two different singers, and two different countries too. So that has to be a bit of an obstacle, right? How has the process changed with Girish in the band?
Well, I mean, with Garish, we did have to do the tracks remotely. He was in India,
Okay.
which is not my favorite thing to do, um, because you're right, it's a bit of an obstacle. I prefer to be there with Robert. We were together when we did the vocals. Um, but he did an amazing job. I mean, because what you didn't mention in there is that he's also a great, great writer. He really is. He's a great writer. And he did. The process was different because we had to, we would talk about the songs ahead of time and, through emails and whatnot and Zoom and then and then he would send us a first draft and then we'd listen and make critiques and go back and forth on that until we got it right. So again, that can be a little more involved that way, or it can take a little more time that way, but his attitude was fabulous. It really was all throughout. It was and he really came through and there were times when we had to do rewrites, and that's always difficult. It was like, it's just not right. We got to, when that happens, that's tough. And but he came through, no attitude. It was his attitude was great, and it worked out great.
Man, that's great to hear. Um, it's Serafino's kind of it was Serafino's idea to bring Girish in. Um, it's kind of he invented, created the band, so to speak. It was his idea, his concept. Um, and a lot of times in these things, he does this often with Frontiers, puts these bands together, and they're always, I don't know, the guy's magical. He does great things there. But a lot of it's written already. Now, you guys are writers. Girish is a writer. You're a writer, obviously. Um, was this all written by you guys, or did you get some stuff from Serafino already written and
No,
adapted?
no, no, no. We wrote it all. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice, nice. You bring Girish in, Robert leaves. Do you, is there anything you lose? Is there, what did you gain? What did you lose with those different styles? I hear, Robert's got that really great bluesy edge to him. Girish more of a power singer, a lot of range, but I hear some of that bluesy edge, like on a song like Burning Man. Uh,
Sure, sure.
he does that too. But I mean, everybody's got their own qualities. Do you feel like you maybe had something with Robert that you don't get with Girish?
Well, I mean, it is true. Garish can kind of do it all. I mean, honestly, the toughest thing for me about the whole changeover was just worrying that I'd lose a friend because I think a lot of Robert. I mean, I consider him a friend, and he's a good guy. Um, and it was like, and he didn't do anything wrong. So I was very. It was for George and I. It was really, and Steve too, for that matter. It was kind of an odd situation. It's like he didn't do anything wrong. I mean, it's like how do you, it was just a weird situation.
Right.
And so I was just really upfront with him, and I just said, look, Serafino wants us to try this guy. I know, I hate that it's kind of like that, but we want to kind of go for it and see what happens. And but we don't want to lose you as a friend, and we don't think any less of you, and you didn't do anything wrong, and so it was a rough situation. I mean, I'm glad we did it because I think the record came out great, and I really like Girish now too. I mean, he's a great guy. But that was the hardest part for me. It was not as much about losing character as it was about losing a friend. I didn't want to lose a friend.
Yeah, and I thought about that as a fan. I love Robert. He's a great singer. I love his style. Girish
Great
as
performer
well.
too. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing, it's really tough because, like I say, Robert didn't do anything wrong. It's not like that. So,
Right.
yeah, that was the hardest part. But trying to move forward and look ahead, it feels like we did like it was the right thing to do. I got to give Serafino his prop. I mean, Serafino had the luxury of not being involved as friends with everyone. So,
Right.
he could see it from a little purer perspective in that way, perhaps.
Mhm.
Um, so, we trusted his judgment, and turns out it was a good thing.
And it's safe to say you didn't lose a friend in Robert. He was
No, no, we still talk.
understandable.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
That's I sit here as a fan of you and the band and Robert, and I you know that's great to hear. Really great to hear. You do anything different? You produce this record. Um, did you do anything different in the studio? Especially with, the change in vocal style, maybe bring some things up, bring some things down, new couple of different studio techniques, anything different in the studio with this record?
Not really, other than the fact that I did have to do the tracks remotely, which again would not be my first choice. I always prefer to be with people. I'm kind of old school in that way. Um, but other than that, no, it was just doing it remotely was about the only thing that really was different.
Okay. I see an additional engineering credit to Olivia Pilson. Um, Olivia, tell me about Olivia.
Well, that is my daughter, and I give her that credit somewhat tongue in cheek. I mean, she did actually come in and run the board, like when I go out to do background vocals or something like that. She comes in and she runs the machines, and I'm out there in the room singing. So she does technically do some engineering, but the joke of it is she's actually a mechanical engineering student at UCLA. So it kind of worked out like that.
There we go. That's great. That is really great. That's an engineering credit for her right there. Very cool. Um, do you feel like the songwriting style changed? You have to fit the singer, especially. That is the changing piece here. When you're writing, you would write to a certain style, but you don't want to change the band. You don't want to become something different. Maybe you still want to stay End Machine. Um, was that an obstacle, a hurdle in the songwriting process? Did it change at all?
Well, no, I think um, the funniest thing about it is how kind of normal it felt. It kind of flowed. No, didn't really have to change much. I mean, when George and I write the music, we pretty much write it how what we're going to do anyways. And we know what we want to do with M Machine, so we just kind of did the music we wanted to hear. We did know we were going to be writing for Girish, which always is exciting. I mean, when we first started writing, we didn't know how he would fit with the music. Turns out he fit great. Turns out because he's a fan of the music of our past, he fits in very, very comfortably. It's not a difficult fit at all. So for him, it's, I think, a natural thing to write for this kind of music, and he just came through flying colors. I mean, like I say, it's amazing how comfortable it felt considering it was a new situation.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And he is a different style. So, to fit into something, that I mean, it's to take over like that is not an easy task. And to hear this record and hear how well he fits, he really is a great fit. It's a great record. There's a song called Time on there. Has a different sound and a bit of a different mood to the rest of the record for me. Is that was that anything different? Did was that a for you? Does that is there anything about that song in particular that was different than the rest?
No, not in
Yeah.
my feeling. I mean, it sort of felt like very much like it belonged. I will say that I originally kind of conceived that song would be the end song for the record, the record, the song to end the record. Um, but it turned out like a little stronger than we initially realized, and so we wanted to put it a little closer to the front.
Mhm.
Um, but no, I mean, to me, it's kind of right in the wheelhouse that we write our stuff with, and
Yeah.
no, I didn't find it to be different necessarily. I love the song. I mean, that was one where Girish, that was one of the earlier ones that he delivered the vocal on, and it was like when he did, it was like, wow, that's so nailed.
And and I guess that's what it was. I got to that song and it seemed not a little louder, but a little brighter. Like there's a certain something to it. It just
That I'll agree with. I think there is a little something to that song. I know it's one of George's favorites.
yeah,
It just came out great.
yeah, it really did. That one just popped right off to me. The M Machine, is it strictly a studio project? Will we ever see this band on a stage together?
Well, we did do some shows in 2019. Well, there's a lot of pressure for us to play, and we want to very much. I'm actually trying to work on something where we could possibly do something at the end of the year when George and I are done touring for the year. That's what we're kind of hoping we can do. We've got our hopes on that. But having said that, I never promise anything because the logistics and the moving parts in a situation like that are so involved. It's really difficult to pull off. Let me just say that. It's really, really difficult. But we're working on it. Both George and my schedules should open up a bit next year. So I guess that gives us a little bit more of a possibility. But I always have to throw in that caveat that it's just really difficult between scheduling and money and everything else that's involved in putting a live show together. It's tricky.
Yep. Oh yeah, no doubt. And Steve's off doing Vegas residencies with Tesla and
Yeah,
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 all, all, all,
exactly.
all kinds of stuff. Yeah, yeah. It would be great to see you guys together on a stage. It would be,
Well, and it's a goal. It's something we would love to do.
yeah, very cool, very cool. Um, Georgia said that you and he are a two-headed songwriting monster. He has a connection with you that he doesn't have with anyone else. Those are really big words from a guy that, I've talked to George a few times. He's reserved. He's quiet. He's intelligent, but cautious. At least with me, I mean, he's
Yeah,
he's just he doesn't say those things to just anyone. So
right.
that is, you guys really have a great connection. Has it gotten, and he is often tagged as a guy who is difficult. That happens. There are people who haven't had that relationship. Has it gotten easier to work together over the years?
If anything, yeah. Although, what's so remarkable about it is how much the same it feels. I mean, when we get together, suddenly we're kids again. I mean, that's how it feels.
That's
Um, I mean, I don't know. It's a chemistry that's always been there. I always tell the story about the first time George ever came over to my apartment right after I joined the band in 1983. He walked in the door. I had a guitar sitting in the corner. He picked up the guitar and we started writing a song. I mean, it's that crazy with he and I. It's
wow.
just we are a two-headed songwriting machine. Um, and it is it's just it's fabulous. But to answer your question, in some ways it's easier um because we've been, there's no more walls, and there's no more anything else. There's nothing to hide from each other, whatever. There's
Right.
no games, nothing. But then, but what's tricky is we do want to keep it fresh and we do want to keep it inspired. So, I guess we're careful not to repeat ourselves completely. I mean, we've gotten past the hurdle of worrying about not sounding like Dokken. We don't care anymore.
Right.
We realize, hey, listen, we wrote a lot of the music in Dokken, so of course whatever we do is going to sound like Dokken. So we're not ashamed of that. We don't even avoid it anymore. In fact, we embrace it. So, but there's always you can't exactly rip yourselves off,
Right. Right.
we get on a roll and we're inspired, and every once in a while it's like, oh crap, that was actually part of such and such a song from 1986 or whatever.
Right.
So we do catch ourselves from time to time, but for the most part, yes, it's easy, and yes, we just let it flow, and we know each other so well, and the communication is so direct that yeah, I'd say if anything, it's easier. Sure.
Cool. And cocaine and and that kind of thing is kind of taken out of the equation at this
Not yet taken out of the equation.
point.
And thank God for
Yeah, yeah,
that.
and that's always helpful. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Um,
is.
I'm about to talk to Tom Werman. He absolutely loves you. He just wrote a book. Um,
I just read it just the other day. It's great.
yeah, it really is. It really is. And he praises you and your level-headedness, and he had nothing but amazing things to say about you. Brought you in for the rock star thing.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, a lot of because you're a great referee. For Zach and Jason on that, Jason Bonham, Zach Wild going at it a little bit, but he and George went at it a lot. He actually walked off that production for Tooth and Nail, and he tells that story. Why do you think Tom and George had the conflict they did? Because you produce George now, so you may have to tell him, "Hey, George, I want a little bit more here. It doesn't sound just great." Uh,
What I mean, if you really read the situation with Tom, he talks about how the engineer we had for the Tooth and Nail record,
Jeff
who
Work,
I was actually bonding with quite closely, and I would stay at the studio every night and hang with this guy. His name was Jeff Workman. He was a tremendous engineer, and he had a tremendous history, and he loved to share it. So I learned so much from him. But Jeff was also a bit of a troublemaker too. And what he did was he recorded Tom speaking, bunch of it, and then he edited it together to make the messages sound different and derogatory. And he played it for George. And, honestly, you can hear the edits if you really listen, but George wasn't thinking about that. And
right?
George believed it. So the unfair thing about it is that is what set off George. It was not Tom telling him what to play. I mean,
Yeah,
I think that's how he responded to Tom, like, don't tell me what to play. But what was really going on in George's mind was he was hearing these derogatory things in his, he was remembering this tape that he had heard of derogatory stuff, and that's what set him off. So it was really unfortunate to Tom. And I don't know if I've ever I'm sure I spoke with Tom about this because we did do the Rockstar record, but that already is 24 years ago.
yeah, right. It's crazy.
So I'm sure I apologize for any complicity I had in that situation, but it was really a drag. I mean, I love Tom. I mean, and honest to God, the pre-production, there was like 2 or 3 weeks of pre-production before Tooth and Nail. That was some of the most fun, spirited times I ever remember with Dokken. What Tom was great at was that, we felt like a big team going in there, and he was the coach, and it was really cool. It was a great vibe. It got destroyed in the studio a lot because of that tape. So it was a real unfortunate situation. And again, I don't think it was as much about what Tom was telling him to play as it was the other stuff.
Right.
And because actually, and you should tell Tom this because he'll get a kick out of this. Some of the comments that Tom made about the sound that George was getting on his guitar at the time,
Mhm.
he are comments that we to this day, George and I, many times have said, "Up, that's sounding like what Warman talked about," and we acknowledge that he was right back then. So
Oh,
so
he'll
I mean,
love that.
his guitar sound was too distorted, and that he would say something like, "It sounds like the fizz or something," and he was right, and so let him know that George and I frequently will bring that up, and we always laugh that Tom said it first.
That's great. That's great because he seems like such a fine gentleman.
Oh, and
Um,
he was great to work with. He really was. He was fun, and he was, um, what can I say? I mean, even if you're just the cheerleader as a producer, that's an important role. Even
yeah,
if that, and then obviously he was more than that, but he was really good at that.
yeah, yeah, and that is really key. And I would say even more key back in the day. With all the drugs and all that, the youth and the
Yeah, yeah,
angst. And there was attitude and ego and all of those things with bands.
yep,
To get it all going, herding cats, going in the right direction, it has to be difficult. Yeah, and he did a great job on that record too. Yeah, I read that with Jeff Workman, and it's just astonishing, really. It's just
yeah,
and the thing with Tom too, he praises Jeff, who destroyed a lot of relationships for him, and he
yeah,
praises George.
yeah.
I've heard him say he's one of the top 10 guitar players of
Yeah.
all time for him.
And by the way, George thinks a lot of Worman now. I mean, he really does. He does not. George looks back on that with sober eyes of what happened. And listen, in Jeff's defense, let me just say before we end this project, Jeff did become very destructive. It was destructive what ended up happening. But Jeff also, it was his crazy sense of humor that started it all. It was all kind of meant to be a big joke. And
Okay.
that I took it as a joke at the time. And because for one thing, I could hear the edits plain as day.
Okay.
Even then,
Right.
I mean, you got to remember this is all done on cassettes. I mean, he was just doing it for fun at night. So it started it off innocent enough, at least in my mind. But yeah, it became destructive. And yeah, there was probably on Jeff's part, I think um, there was some wanting to be, a troublemaker.
Right.
I don't know, maybe he thought it could elevate his role. I'm not, I would assume that's part of it, for whatever reason. But yeah, I mean, if I haven't apologized to Tom, although I think I have,
Uh,
um, please let him know that we're very aware of that situation, and we very much don't like what happened. And more importantly than all of that, tell him I wish I could have stayed at his bed and breakfast while he still had it. So
right. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Beautiful, beautiful place. I looked around there. It was amazing. Yeah, yeah, and like I say, he loves you.
oh, I adore him too. I
Yeah.
really do.
Um, now I know you enjoyed the movie, Rockstar, doing it and acting in it and stuff like that. I've
Speaking
heard
of Tom, I owe that one to Tom, so thank you. Yes.
yeah, we've talked about that. Did you ever want to do more work in movies or, voiceover stuff? Do you want to be a Mortal Kombat character again? What's that experience?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
you wouldn't
I'm up
mind diving
I'm
into
up
that?
I'm up for all that. I mean I would love, actually, it's funny because I would actually love, if I ever had the opportunity, to act in something where I got to actually act, not just be myself.
Right,
Because essentially in Rockstar, I was just being who I am, or
right.
who I was, I should say, because I was supposed to be a bit decadent. But anyway, so no, I'd love to, and I love doing voiceover stuff. Unfortunately, the voiceover agent that got me the Mortal Kombat thing, she was also a dear friend, especially of my wife's, and she got killed in a car wreck soon after that took
Oh,
place. And it was really tragic and it was really awful because she was a wonderful person too, just a really sweet, wonderful person. So and I've been kind of busy, obviously, but yeah, I would love to do more of that stuff. I love all that. I mean,
that's cool.
voiceover, love it.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. It's got to be weird to see, that character with your voice there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, I got one Dio related question for you. Just because you've had a relationship with Ronnie and still have a great relationship with Wendy, I know. Loved and revered by everybody except really one guy, which, Vivian and him, and Ronnie had a complicated, well documented conflict. Now you produced Vivian and Last in Line, those records. Yeah, I would say you probably have a good relationship, friendship with Vivian as well. Is it surprising to you knowing their two personalities? Because they seem like they would jive. They seem like they would love each other. Now Vivian was 17 or something at the time, or is it surprising to you that they didn't get things to work?
Not really, no, because I do know them both. No, I understand. I understand exactly I know exactly what went down, and I know both sides of the story, which is why I stay out of it because I am friends with both.
Right.
But listen, I do understand where they both come from. I do, and people aren't perfect. People have, there is conflicts. There are, you know, not only ego, but financial things and all that kind of stuff that goes on in the music business all the time. And this happens all the time. What's weird about it is that uh, Ronnie had so few people that kind of held grudges against him. Because Ronnie was a very, really down to earth guy. And And at his core, he was a connecting person. Ronnie liked to connect, and friendship was important to him. But I know from Ronnie's side, because I've spoken more with Ronnie about this than I have with Wendy. But from Ronnie's side, Ronnie was just really hurt about loyalty. That's a tough thing for him. And Vivian didn't enjoy that side of it at all. Vivian on some levels really loved Ronnie and thought the world of him. So, I'm sure that was difficult. Because I don't think they ever really patched things up before Ronnie passed away. And I'm sure that's difficult on Vivian on some level. And Ronnie is kind of removed himself from a lot of the business side of things. So for him not being as I wouldn't say it wasn't that he was privy to it, because I'm sure he knew exactly what was going on, knowing Ronnie, but he wasn't a part of that conversation. So for Ronnie, it must have always felt like a missing piece, like what's wrong here kind of thing. And for Vivian, I'm sure it always felt like he never really got to directly speak with Ronnie about this. So it had to be difficult for him in that respect. And let's face it, Wendy was his manager. It's her job to fight for him. So I mean,
Right.
that's why it's really clear to me about what happened. It's really unfortunate because both Ronnie and Vivian, well, and Wendy for that matter, are just great people, great solid human beings. And I hate it when good, solid human beings don't all, come together. And I mean, I make music because I believe in unity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's hard. But and in fact, when I did the Last in Line record, I actually called Wendy and I told her I was going to do it, and I said I want you to understand why, and we had to talk about it, and she wasn't happy that I was doing it, but at least she was happy I spoke with her about it.
Yeah.
And we're all still close to this day. And yeah, and I adore Vivian. Vivian's great. And working with Vivian it's wonderful. He's great. He's
Yeah.
real musical, real honest, real straightforward, and pretty damn talented.
Yeah, he always has been, and
Yeah.
I love hearing him. He's one of those players that you hear him and you know it's him.
Yeah, and he's just incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's great, and that was always a question for me because I've seen Vivian, I've seen Vivian talk. He's a real respectful, well-spoken guy, smart guy.
Exactly.
And Ronnie, of course, we all know, just loved and revered by everybody. And there's, that financial thing that happened, and it's just a thing. But yeah, I love seeing the Last in Line work. It seems like a little bit of Vivian and Ronnie making amends a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
posthumously, if you will. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty cool. You ever, Tom's got the book. Everybody's got a book. You ever consider writing your stories down? You've been to a lot of places, got a lot of stories.
Yeah, yes, I've thought about that. I mean, my analysis is kind of like I don't know if I'm well known enough to write a book that enough people would care about. Guys like who I am, and hands full of people know who I am. But I'm not Tommy Lee or anything like that. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I just don't know if a book is something that would be um, a book of my memoirs. I don't know how many people would really care about that. But having said that, I am actually working on on a yoga book that I would love to put
Hey,
out sometime in 2025. Um, but
awesome.
it's actually more about yoga and connecting it with day-to-day life, and that I would love to do.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that I think that's great for the musician, because being on the road is not, fans think, hey, come to my town, it's complicated and it's difficult and it's grueling, all of those things, day in, day out, never going home for months on end can be rough. And I think probably yoga, meditation, those things can get a musician through some things. for sure. Keep them physically fit as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been a big part of me being able to accomplish what I have and continue on the road and staying sane and uh and staying, involved with the work and staying present in the moment. All that stuff yoga's been invaluable to me for, which is why I do actually do a weekly virtual meditation class. And if you come to hotforyogascv.com, you can find the details about that weekly meditation class. And in fact, my wife and I are holding a retreat from May 21st, I'm sorry, May 25th through June 1st in Costa Rica, which is going to be really fun and really exciting. So come to hotforyogascv.com and check out the details. And hopefully you can join us in Costa Rica or join me in my weekly meditation class.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, there'll be a description, a link in
Great.
the description for sure. That's awesome to hear. That is really good, and we look forward to the book for sure. Um, you got all these bands. You got Black Swan. You got Revolution Saints. Foreigner's going to end. You're wrapping things up for the major tours. The
Right.
9 months out of the year thing. You're gonna have a little bit more time. We talked about End Machine. What about like Revolution Saints, Black Swan, strictly studio? Again, complicated because you have these guys who are doing a million different things.
Yep, yep, yep.
Is there any talk of touring with those guys?
There's talk of touring with all of them, of course, and there's pressure on all of them. And we would love for all of them to make sense and happen. But it's tough. It's a tough thing to pull together. For all the same reasons that I went into detail about. But yeah, you just never know. And with schedules opening up, I am hoping that I am able to take some of these things live because that would be a great part of the whole package. And
Yeah.
it's a big part of a band. A band playing live is an important thing. So I would love to make that happen. Just can't make any promises.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for Foreigner. You are not included on the nomination.
No, of course not.
Yeah, but 20 years with a band is a long time.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
get
no,
it.
I get it. I
Yeah.
totally get it. Well, I mean, but I think the band deserve it. I think you can go to there's a Rock Hall website, I believe, something like that. You might be able to find that out, but you can vote every day. So please vote Foreigner in because it would be great if it happened.
Yeah,
Those guys really deserve it. I mean, they're all really
totally.
good guys, and they came up with something that really did make a difference, and I believe it's long overdue for them to be in. So let's hope they do. Let's hope they get the votes.
Absolutely. Has Mick talked to you at all about the induction ceremony if it happens, playing, maybe bringing Lou in? Is that ever a discussion?
Well, I haven't spoken with Mick about it, no, but our manager's been talking about it. We're trying to figure it out. If it happens, I think Mark Ronson would be kind of the guy that would pull it all together.
Oh,
He's been so helpful in making this thing happen with getting Sir Paul to do a shout out about it. That's pretty damn cool.
it is.
So yeah, so no, I haven't spoken with Mick, but we're already kind of throwing ideas around, but everybody says, but let's not jinx it. Let's see if it happens first.
Yeah, cool. Jeff, I gotta ask you, you're a producer. You wear that hat quite often. Are you taking, you got so much going on though. Are you taking new artists in? Are you working on anything now from the producer's chair?
Well, I don't have any new artists that I'm working with. Reb Beach was out a couple weeks ago, and we spent a week together writing what's going to be the next Black Swan record. We got 7 songs deep into that, so we're well on our way with that one. But no new artists. I mean, I'd love to find a new artist that I was really excited about. That's kind of always a producer's dream, I think. Um, yeah, if I could find a young band that wants to rock but has something new and fresh to offer, I would be very excited about that.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I'll let you go. I'll let you have some more coffee because I'm going to get some
I'm
myself.
done.
That looks pretty great. Is there anything, you've done so much. I mean, accomplished so much. Living your dreams, I would think. Is there something in the back of your mind that, you've always wanted to do, and haven't yet?
Well, write the greatest song of all time, sure.
That's arguable.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
some great
well,
songs
yeah,
out there.
yeah. But well, no, I mean, I just want to keep on doing what I'm doing and just do it better and better. I mean, that's my goal, really. Of course, like I say, I would love to be a part of the biggest song ever written. If that could ever happen, that would be great. But the only way you get there is by hard work, and that's what I'm doing. So, just I'm just so grateful that there's people that want to hear Dokken music 40 years later. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah,
And I don't take for granted my position. I'm really grateful that I'm able to do what I do. So that kind of never escapes me. And that's the fuel that keeps me giving it 150%, So,
yeah,
you know, let's
yeah.
see where that takes me.
It's awesome. It's awesome. We appreciate you. All the gifts you've given the world. It's pretty. It's sensational. I totally
Thank you.
appreciate you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, man. Yeah, let's
Thank
do it
you.
again. With the
Here
next
we go.
next record, Black Swan, whatever it might be.
Yeah,
Uh,
probably Black Swan will probably be next.
yeah, yeah, cool, cool.
Oh
Jeff,
man,
always a
thank
pleasure.
you so much. I appreciate it, man. You do great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. And links are in the description for all that Jeff mentioned. And we look forward to next time, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.